Hello everyone and welcome to the graduation of the December 2023 Calendula cohort of the Antioch MFA. My name is Lisa Lacascio-Nighthawk. I'm the chair of the MFA program. And before we get started, just a reminder to everyone here to please silence your cell phones if you haven't already. Silence those phones. Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce the provost of Antioch University, Los Angeles, Mark Hauer, who I'm happy to welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Lisa. What an exciting day. Welcome, everyone, to this graduation ceremony. It's such a pleasure to see all of you folks here. And I just want to do a few welcoming remarks, and I hope I convey really, truly how special the day is. Graduates, family members, partners, friends, faculty and staff, students, alumni, honored guests. That's a lot of folks. You're probably one of those. And if I missed you, you're the other, and thank you for coming. Thanks for joining us today. We celebrate the accomplishments of our students here. Graduates, a special welcome to you, and congratulations. You have realized your goals through hard work and sacrifice. I'm delighted to acknowledge your achievements and to welcome you into the community of Antioch alumni. We'll get to that in a moment. Congratulations to each of you, and of course it's also true that your success rests on the support of others. Let us take a moment to acknowledge those who have helped each of you to come to this particular day. Family and friends, your support and love and assistance have been critical to the success of these students. It's in a very real sense, your accomplishment as well. The student's educational journey could not have been successful without you. Thank you for all you've done. MFA faculty. Well, you have, of course, been a very big part of this MFA experience. You've guided the learning of every student, every step along the way, developed the curriculum, shared your experience and knowledge, and served as mentors, and encouraged them to do their best. Thank you so much. And MFA Antioch staff, it's really important for us to acknowledge you, partly because you do so much really critical work. Daisy and Natalie are among the staff, as you know, and you just rely on them. But the other part is, this is our chance, those of us who work for Antioch, a chance to celebrate the work we do. It's a very important part of this experience for us, so we acknowledge them too for all the sacrifices they make and all the commitment they make on a regular basis. So on behalf of everyone, I just say welcome again. Let's congratulate the students again. And I also want to say it's Lisa's turn to come up because my time for welcome you is finished for right now. Thank you so much for making it to this event. Lisa, thank you for all you do.
Okay, I have to tell everyone, I love graduation. I love wearing this outfit. I love seeing you in your outfits. I think that life offers us precious few opportunities, not just to celebrate, but also to feel. And graduation, whatever else it is, should be a day that we feel. We should feel our accomplishment. We should feel our community. We should feel the time that we've spent together. And it's also an opportunity to observe a transition. I think there's something, if not universal, near universal about the experience of feeling that a change has happened and we only see it out the rear view mirror while we're driving in the opposite direction. In 2017, I had the privilege of going to part of Oregon that was in the path of the totality of the solar eclipse. And after the eclipse, by which I mean the moment the shadow of the Earth, it's not the moon, right? The moment that the sun was revealed just a little bit, like 1 degree, everyone around us who had camped for 3 days to wait for the eclipse got in their cars and left. And I thought this was really strange. And my partner reminded me of an essay, and I should have looked up who wrote it, but let's say it was Annie Dillard, about how actually eclipses are really destabilizing. And once people see what they came to see, they want to go back to normal life as soon as possible. So they don't even want to sit and watch it move the rest of the way. And I think that's a general truism. I'm not comfortable with change. I have the Pema Chodron book. What is it? Comfortable with Uncertainty, or I'm not even getting the title right, but I've never read it. So in liminal moments, I really want to encourage us to allow it to be liminal and to celebrate its liminality. You are no longer just one thing, and you are not yet the next thing. You're in between, and that's special, and there's possibility and edges and doorways. And it's one of my favorite parts of life, and I think that's why we actually wear funny costumes for it, to force us to recognize it. So in the spirit of that enthusiasm, we have this celebration to share together. And I'm really, really happy to welcome our commencement speaker, Annie Bardos, to the podium to talk about her experience and your experience as a cohort.
Hi. Since we began our MFA journeys at Antioch, our country has been waging a war against words. There have been national book bans where some states have completely removed literature from their libraries, including some of our own Antioch alum and faculty members' important work. Advances in artificial intelligence have made some authors' work clonable and some students' work passable. We watched our democracy further unravel through misinformation and lies spread by our elected leaders. And here in Los Angeles, writers stopped writing and brought the entertainment industry to a stalemate and the thousands of workers' wages associated with it. Words, it turns out, are powerful. Writers have power. Yes, power in the sticks and stones may break your bones kind of way. Words can hurt. As writers, we need to pay careful attention to the words we choose and the impact they have in causing or reducing harm. And the words we use in the poems, novels, essays, and scripts we write have the power to structure the society we live in. Their power is undeniable. As Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Natalie Diaz wrote, "Today is an important and dangerous time for language." The words we choose tell stories, and we know that there are many ways to tell a story, and there are many ways to interpret a story. Words appear in dictionaries, but stories do not. They can shapeshift through the eyes and histories of their readers. Yes, stories can heal, but they can also be erroneously interpreted and abused of their power. When a loud part of our society seems determined to ignore the multiplicity of stories and instead favors an unjust, unfair, and harmful story co-opted as truth, our Antioch training in literary citizenship has equipped us to speak out, or more accurately, write out and embrace our power. Not to exert power over our readers, but to share the power of our words with our readers, offering countless and complicated stories that add mystery, beauty, generosity, and empathy in the world. Our stories pay attention to nuance. Nuance increases the potential of coexisting truths, a multiplicity of stories. When we add new truths to already existing ones, we expand what French philosopher Michel Foucault referred to as a regime of truth. We rewrite the possibilities of existence. Or, as poet Mary Ruefle would say, truth on the page does not distinguish between the lived and unlived, the irreverent, the sincere, the eggplant, and the aubergine. None of us can rewrite the stories of the past, but we can rewrite the many nows that exist and their endless possible futures. When we write new stories, we invite readers to contemplate what they don't know, what they might never know, what isn't knowable. Our stories create opportunities for curiosity, for listening, for paying attention. They add complexity and enable broader appreciation and acceptance of ideas and bodies once denied. This is how we create social change. This is a writer's power. Congratulations, Calendulas. I eagerly anticipate reading your words, stories, and the many truths that they tell. I have hope that our collective literary power will create something better, something truly great. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor this afternoon to introduce our commencement guest speaker, Morgan Parker, visiting faculty in poetry and creative nonfiction. Morgan is an acclaimed poet, essayist, and novelist, the author of the young adult novel, Who Put This Song On, and the poetry collections, Other People's Comfort Keeps Me Up at Night, There Are More Beautiful Things Than Beyonce, and Magical Negro, the recipient of the National Book Critics Circle Award for Poetry. Her debut book of nonfiction, You Get What You Pay For, is forthcoming from One World in March 2024. Parker's work has appeared widely in such publications as the Paris Review, the New York Review of Books, and Best American Poetry, a Broadway playbill, and 2 major hip-hop albums. She holds a bachelor's in anthropology and creative writing from Columbia University and an MFA in poetry from NYU, and lives here in Los Angeles with her mini poodle, Shirley. The recipient of a National Endowment for the Arts Literature Fellowship, winner of a Pushcart Prize and a Cave Canem Graduate Fellow, Parker has been hailed by the New York Times as a dynamic craftsperson of considerable consequence to American poetry. Of her book, Magical Negro, Time magazine said, Parker's latest collection is a riveting testimony to everyday blackness. It is wry and atmospheric, an epic work of oral pleasures and personifications that demands to be read, both as an account of a private life and as a searing political protest. And of her much anticipated first book of nonfiction, Saeed Jones says, in You Get What You Pay For, Morgan Parker interrogates the project of self-making while illuminating all the forces at work trying to warp reality and mangle the self. This is the kind of book that saves lives. I know our students are beyond delighted to be working with Morgan this semester, just as we're beyond delighted to welcome you here to the MFA program. And just to speak, well, just to put this to the side for a moment, and to speak extemporaneously for a moment, Morgan read to us the other night, and she took us on this whirlwind tour, kind of kaleidoscopic tour in 15 minutes of her body of work, which I've never really heard a writer do. And, you know, the work was really united by many themes, but was characterized by this fearlessness and this intelligence. And also, I think Morgan really dazzled us just with her intense relationship both to the text she was reading, but also the being present in the room as well, that interplay of the realness of the performance of reading as well as the text. And so it is a great honor to invite you to give a warm welcome to Antioch MFA December 23 guest commencement speaker, the brilliant and incisive Morgan Parker.
Thank you all so much for inviting me and just for sharing yourselves with me this week. It's been really lovely to be among you. Yeah, welcome. Congratulations already. Annie, that was wonderful. I can't believe you, I don't know, you're kind of a natural speaker, so don't, just pretend like, you know what I mean? Pretend like you believe that. When I was asked to give this speech, I immediately thought I wanted to share just the quotes that I look at my desk that I think about every time I'm sitting down to write. And I'm going to do that, but yesterday I was kind of like, maybe I should just do something different because, it feels weird to prepare advice for folks that you don't know. And now I feel like I know a little bit about y'all. So I say all that to say that I will be sharing that information, but I'm sharing it now with the confidence that you all can receive it and wield it really powerfully. And I'm excited just to see where your writing takes you. But yeah, I also will, just kind of shout y'all out. It's been really wonderful to see you all celebrate each other this week. Here in person, and lots of emojis on the chats, and just like a really active Zoom chat situation, which was awesome. Not all of y'all are here in person, and I think it's really important that you've already begun to define what community can look like for each other moving forward. That's maybe one of the most important things that you'll get from your MFA. Craft lectures are here and they're there, but what you can get from this experience is each other and learning how to lean on each other. I will say, this last book, I kind of was like, wow, I really miss a workshop. Just, that little pat on the back. So remember to give that to each other moving forward. I think sometimes we move forward, we come out of these spaces where we're learning, and we think that you're supposed to know everything, and it feels incorrect to ask or to say, I don't know what I'm doing, especially if you've written several books, but there will be moments when you don't know what you're doing. And I really hope that you all can lean on each other in those moments. Find a community that you can return to and share your fears with. And that's one thing that I've seen happen here with all of y'all. I heard Jennifer talking about her search for voice, and I've been able to see, I've talked to Annie about thinking about intentions moving forward and the fear of making those intentions and the fear of failing, but also have received late night emails of praise, which I'm sure y'all have gotten from her before. Felt like a usual thing, like lots of all caps. I've been able to, see all the full Zoom rooms. Y'all have shown up at each and every reading for each other, and that's amazing. I have heard Scott talk about, processing what 50 years couldn't, but with the help of literature. Josie's icy bitch heart melting little by little. I've seen you guys mourn, together, and continually, and do so while being able to celebrate and acknowledge being able to acknowledge how powerful it is for you to each be present here this week. One thing about Antioch, obviously, is that everyone's coming at this from a very different perspective, and y'all are all coming from different parts of your lives, walks of your lives, different backgrounds, and that's what I feel in the Antioch love, is this general acceptance for respecting someone's walk of life and meeting them where they are, and I really respect that. And in that love, I've also felt the pain behind it. This for a lot of us, that's what brings us to the page. It's this pain, pushing it from where it's been, like, where your love has been snuffed out, into a place where it can be utilized in a community and through the craft of writing. Each of you, and I mean each of us, have ended up on this journey because at some point our words or our stories have been muddled or ignored or mangled or captured or hushed or hidden or used against us even. But this week and December's previous, and June's previous, and December after December, and June after June, y'all have shown up to dream something else for yourselves and something else for your language, and a new reality where you can speak and be heard. You've created that space for each other. And I just want you to remember that that is something that you can always access. It's something that the world won't always give you, but it's something that you can return to again and again in each other and in yourselves. Which brings me also to the quote that I stare at all the time above my desk. There's three. One is a June Jordan quote, which I'll read in a second. Another is a James Baldwin quote that says, "A writer has to take all the risks of putting down what they see." And then the other one is just a note to myself that says, "You are safe." And those are the things that I look at. So I want to return to that and also offer it to you. This June Jordan quote I think about quite a bit, and okay, it's part of a longer thing. Here we go. Whew. Poetry, so for this purposes, poetry is also screenwriting and fiction and nonfiction and all the things. But as we know, poetry is underneath all of it. Poetry is a political action undertaken for the sake of information, the faith, the exorcism, and the lyrical invention that telling the truth makes possible. Poetry means taking control of the language of your life. Poetry means taking control of the language of your life. I mean, think about how powerful that is, right? Like, we're talking about the power of words, and we see it wielded incorrectly all the time. But think about how incredible that power is if you can grasp it and understand that it's not just taking control even of stories or of this particular poem, this particular story of a particular book. It's about really changing how you are able to be received in the world. Surrounding yourself with words that uplift you, that reflect you, that challenge you. I think, obviously, we know that poetry is inherently political. Choices are political. Because words are political. They carry histories. Language is political. I don't know what that is. And I think that's an important thing to remember, that no matter whether or not you are acknowledging it as such, that your writing is a political action. So it's just a question of you reminding yourself how to utilize that. Also, poetry is an action. The work that we're doing is active. It requires of us all the time, you know? I like to think about my writing process in 3 phases. The first one is just collecting. So, you know, sometimes it looks like I'm not doing anything, but that's writing, right? Like, that's writing. Is just like taking in and processing and consuming. Then there's this part, which is like, it doesn't take that long. Then there's the editing, which is also life. That's also living, you know? Like, best editor is time and perspective. All of that is part of the writing process, and it's active. It's just about being in the world and showing up and being present, looking around, knowing what sparks you, and, of course, having that courage to go to the page. Poetry is an action, it is active, and it is an act. It is an act of, I typed this, and I clearly typed it incorrectly because this says care. It's an act of care and defiance. An act of impatience or petulance. It requires effort, and it involves your body. So I also want a side note on that. Take care of your bodies, because, again, no one will do it for you. Remember that this work is physical. You know, it is active, and it does take a lot of us. And if you can take care of yourself, then you can bring more to the page and more to your writing process and more to your lyric. Poetry is to be undertaken, taken up intentionally instigated. You're the machine in that. You can be the engine that instigates the action of poetry. I love this part for the sake of information. It's so simple, you know? We forget that part of what we're writing is just communication, conveying something to someone else, which of course implies that there is someone else. And that's something that I would encourage you never to forget, you know? It often can feel like we're speaking just to ourselves, and sometimes that's the other person, but there is another, you know? We are communicating something for ourselves, for a loved one, for whomever, but we are, and that is part of it, is that we're communicating information. And this purpose, I put like 3, 4A, 4B, what is that? I don't know what that means. This purpose is fulfilled by truth-telling. 4B, which makes faith possible, or at least makes faith more imaginable, at least makes it more beautiful, and which allows for a form of exorcism for the reader and the writer. It allows really for transformation, as Lisa was talking about, but also allows for a shedding and a remaking and a rebuilding on top of that. And which encourages, damn near demands, the practice and craft of lyrical invention. I said earlier this week that what we're doing is woo-woo shit because we are literally conjuring. And I really believe that word invention is not to be taken lightly. We think about lyrical invention and like, you know, syntax or, you know, inventing characters, but we really are inventing different realities. And that is work to not be taken lightly. We are conjuring possibility for ourselves and for our readers. And that's a heavy responsibility. Poetry means taking control of the language of your life. I can't tell you what that means for you. It will mean something different for each one of you, and maybe at different points in your life. What does it mean to claim and reclaim control over the language that moves you through the world? What does it mean to speak back to the languages that are telling you to stop? What does it mean to be a counter to the soundtrack that is telling us not to, and that we can't, and that we shouldn't? It's an incredibly powerful thing, and there's not much more that you could say beyond June Jordan, but I pass that to you because it is something that I think about pretty much every day, that ability to reclaim control, you know? And for a lot of us, we don't have many spaces where we have control. Definitely not over the languages, you know? So I think it's really special to be able to create a space for yourself, whether it's the desk, whether it's the workshop, whether it's your car, to live in the language that you want to. And I really hope that as you move forward in building your writing practices and writing lives, that that's something you take to heart as part of, you know, your intentions. You know, making that intention to make your space safe for yourself. And to know that a writer has to take all the risks of putting down what they see. We know it's risky, but we've chosen it. Y'all have done this, and you have run into risks at every single turn, I'm sure. But it's a choice that we make every single day. And it's, you know, worth it. It's worth it. I'm here to tell you it's worth it. But it doesn't, you know, it doesn't always feel easy or comfortable or natural. Definitely not that. But I will say that it's worth it. And it's kind of all we got. So there's that too. Overall, I want to congratulate you And I just want to thank you all for showing up. It's been wonderful to hear all of your readings, to hear some of your presentations. I haven't got to see a black girl in a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt give a presentation about writing about mental health. I mean, come on. If I'm the ancestor, you guys, wildest dreams. There you are. Congratulations. I'm really so excited to hear what happens to each one of you in the future. And yeah, don't stop. Don't stop. Thanks.
On my script, it says, Lisa Lacascio Nighthawk returns to the podium. Short speech by Lisa Lacascio Nighthawk, delivers speech. And there's nothing about having to follow Morgan Parker. So I'm just going to say one thing, which is there might have been a moment for many of you before you came to Antioch where you wondered, am I a writer? And your MFA may have been the experiment, the commitment that hopefully made you feel, hopefully all the time, but at least sometimes, at least once, that you are a writer. Maybe you knew that before you came to Antioch. My own history is one where I started receiving praise and, pats on the head for being a good writer when I was 6 or 7, and so as much as it feels like something that I chose, it also feels like the place that I went because it was safe and full of affirmation, and things sort of proceeded on from there. But regardless of what your relationship to the question of your own writerliness is, or has been up to this point, I unfortunately can basically promise that there will be a point in the future where you think, am I a writer? And that will happen no matter what happens. No matter if you publish a book and it gets reviewed in the places you want it to be reviewed, and people you admire say nice things about it, and you have a job where other people think that you're an expert on writing, you will wonder, am I a writer? And I just want you to remember me saying, you are.
Okay, and I'm going to break script for a moment. And Morgan, thank you for that generous speech. I loved you acknowledging all of our beautiful students, and also I loved how, amongst the many wonderful things you said, I loved how you mentioned poetry's kind of an act of petulance, because some of us writers, we can be quite petulant. But I'm going to try and read these names with the opposite of petulance, which I guess is maybe, exuberance. Anyway. I have the honor to present and recommend the following candidates for the MFA in Creative Writing Master's degree. Will the candidates for the Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing please line up one row at a time to receive their diplomas? Graduates, please come forward as directed by the faculty marshal as your name is called. Annie Bartos. Julia Charlotte Beck. Josephine Brown. Jennifer Chesbro. Jasmine Ortavia Cooper-Spies. Alison Ferris. R. Scott Lamascus. Kate J. Leonard. Darren Nebasar. Alex Caitlin Rosenfeld. And I think you can both return to your seat, yes? It goes back, sit down. So I'm going to mention, first off, three of our graduates who were unable to be here today. Thomas Faustine Husking, Brian Lynn, and Emery Pearson. And we congratulate all of them. And next we'll move into some students who couldn't be here today but are with us on Zoom in a sense. Bonnie Hearn-Hill, Irvina Kanarick, Maggie Lamb, and Camden Toy. And I'm sure some of you know, but Camden is not with us here today. I think the slide disappeared, but he passed away during the residency, just the night before his graduate presentation. He was living with pancreatic cancer. I'll just talk very briefly. It's obviously too momentous a topic to go into how saddened we all are, but dramatic faculty Colette Friedman was working with Camden in his last term and was just like working with him so closely and intimately. And what amazed me about Camden was he was really just getting everything done before he left. He did his field study with us last term, teaching writing workshops to cancer survivors. He was making sure he got everything done. We managed to get his diploma to him the day after he passed, but he knew it was coming, and so we want to dedicate this ceremony to him and just send out love to his partner Bethany and his family, and just say that we're thinking of him, and just incredibly humbling just to think of what he's done, and we're sending love out to Camden. So will the candidates... Sorry. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing please rise? Provost Mark Hauer, on behalf of our faculty, I present to you for appropriate recognition the candidates for the degree of Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing.
MFA candidates, upon the recommendation of the faculty of Antioch University of Los Angeles and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Governors of Antioch University, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Fine Arts with all the rights, honors, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Please move your tassels from the right side to the left side of your mortarboards to signify your transition from candidate to graduate. Congratulations. You may be seated because there's a little bit more here. So the ceremony is nearly over. There is a final tradition that we do. It involves the provost giving you a charge. And this is different than what happens from the from our accounting department. So this is a very different kind of charge. So I just want to say I've had the privilege of getting to know some of you and seeing your work certainly from the periphery. I haven't been an important part of your journey by a long shot, but I do know some of you. I've certainly heard warm praise and just amazing things through conversations with Lisa, Alistair, and others. I know what a special group you are. This is not unusual because MFA is a really special program. So I want to speak a little bit to something that it may sound, I hope it doesn't sound contradictory. I think it's complementary to something Lisa was saying. You just went through a liminal moment in a sense from candidate to graduate. So you've passed through something. But what I hope you'll do is also hold on to some things that are, some threads that are part of this experience, not just the academic, not just the content, not just the theories and the skill set you've developed. I heard Morgan talking about this. You're a community. Don't lose that community, because the value of this program is all the things you've learned and also what you've learned about each other and about how to give each other feedback that's speaks to the courage you're putting out there and in a compassionate way, and encourages you to continue, that knows your voice is needed and wants to celebrate that and propel you forward. And you'll want to do that for the other people in your cohort. This is so important for you to recognize really the preciousness of this program, or what's precious in my perspective, I recognize there are many, is the community that gets created and your willingness to risk in front of each other and support each other at the same time. That's not a small thing. So stay connected. Find the ways to, whether it's reunions or you have Zooms every once in a while, or I know what you were talking about a moment ago. There's something blowing around here. Yeah. So if I suck that in and start choking, please do whatever feels right. So I hope when I'm speaking from the heart, sometimes that's my best place, because I am not a poet, but I have poetry in my heart, and I see it. I see the way you folks work together, whatever your genre, whatever your calling, whatever your future. I know it's together as much as it is that just your own individual vision, your own individual output. Because really the community is the thing that makes all of this possible, but also makes it the wonderful thing it is. So I can't encourage you enough, and I know you know this, all of this. In some ways, the charge is unnecessary, but maybe it doesn't hurt to hear it. So I appreciate you taking a few moments of listening to me rattle on when, in fact, you know this better than I. You know how much you care about each other, and thanks for pointing that out, Morgan. I think it's really important. You're not individuals. You're part of a cohort. That hasn't changed. You're now graduates. You're all the rest of it, but you're still a cohort. All right, thank you very much, and it's just been an honor to be here today and to hear such amazing wisdom from Annie and Morgan and Lisa. You always have something great to offer. It's because of the outfit. We all know that. All right. I believe I'm supposed to bring you up now, Alistair. Is that correct? I'm going to stop right now. Thank you so much.
So let's give our graduates one more round of applause. We're so proud of you all, so please stand for the recessional. Join us for a reception for graduates and their guests immediately right now. The reception is in the courtyard right outside the front doors of the lobby. The platform party and the MFA faculty will lead the recessional, followed by the graduates.